you have to be able to adapt so ridiculously quickly, probably for anything in life, but all I, for the most part, think about is business, growing the business, talking to business owners, trying to see how we can just do better in life in general. And right now, I was just talking to my best buddy, Luke, and what we were discussing was a wave of competitors that he is about to be having coming into his space, into his business model. Luke is a buddy of mine who does similar things as me, but in the Bitcoin space, and someone that he worked with very closely, that he trained up and mentored, was helping out, is now going to act as his biggest competitor. Put in a ton of time, effort, and money into someone to train them up, and then they go off and do their own thing. When you took all the risk taking them on, you trained them up, you did everything for them, but then they jump at a bigger opportunity the second it arises because it's the kind of shiny object syndrome, and a lot of people don't have the moral and ethical code. This happened to one of my mentors who is also one of my clients, where he has a massive company with 300 plus employees. He told me about 10 years ago, there was this kid that was super hungry, that was in his 30s, that was looking to get trained up, that really just wanted to be in the business, was super ambitious. And so this guy that I work with, he trained him up. He started working in the business. He started to get promoted. He started to do very well. And then what he did was saying, hey, this thing can't be too difficult. I want everything that you have. What he did was he took the guy's investor list, went out and raised a ton of money for his own business, being a direct competitor to the guy that just trained him up and mentored him and did everything for this guy, and then started a competitor business. And what happened to that competitor is he went bust. He failed completely. He took all the investor money that he knew from his mentor, and then went bust after kind of betraying him. And that is very common because a lot of people that come into a business, they don't know all of the things that it took to get there. They don't have the years and years of bootstrapping that it takes to grow a business, that 5-year period of just grinding and not making any money. When you come into a business that is already quasi-developed or fully developed, you don't realize how difficult it is to become a developed business. We're just now starting to get there for my business, but it was so fucking unfathomably hard the past 5 years of business, making fuck all. I was quite literally not a single dollar, spending everything that I made for 4 to 5 years on end, to just now potentially starting to make more money. That 5-year period, there is so much stuff that goes into it. My mentor's case, it was a 30-year period where he had developed this business, and then this guy came into it very quickly and then thought that he knew everything. The same thing right now is happening to my buddy I've kind of exposed. Someone that he helped a lot is now going to be a direct competitor of him and taking a lot of the clients that they potentially would have had and undercutting them, which is just a mega douche move. From an ethical standpoint, from an integral standpoint, that could never work out over the long run. I guess it could for short-term monetary gains, but from being a good person, it makes zero fucking sense. It really upsets me when people do that, especially for me. I am a very loyalty-based person. When I take someone on the team, I understand that right now it is a massive expense, that I'm paying them a lot of money to get not much results, because I understand that there is a year-long process that it's going to take to train somebody. So I'm expecting, if I train someone and want to push a ton of time, effort, and money into someone that I'm hiring, hoping that 2 years from now, they are able to produce a ton of money for the business. Understanding that there is a massive lag time between when this person becomes a functional employee, where they're actually benefiting the business, and when they're just an expense. And so I'm sure that I'll have to deal with this in the future, of dumping a lot of time, energy, and effort into someone, and then they just take all that and then try and steal whatever part of business they can, because that's just very common within life. I don't even know how to get around that. I guess it could be a legality issue, which I have fucking zero contracts, fuck all. It's knowing who people are as a person, which everyone thinks they do, but money just changes people, which is why I just never ever would count how much money someone else is making. For my clients, one of my clients, we are making hundreds of millions of dollars with. I get paid incredibly well. I don't fucking care about the hundreds of millions of dollars. I get paid from this one client to the 0.001% of the world. And so why the fuck would I count how much money he makes? He spent 40 years developing a business, and now he gets to get the fruits of the labor, and I just do one portion of the business. I don't run the entire business. I didn't spend 40 years doing what he did. I didn't have the risk. He hired me out of pocket, and now we are showing substantial results for him. Why would I expect to get the tail end of all the results that he had now compounding today? I wouldn't, because I'm not going to count how much money he's making. I have a great deal. He has a great deal. So we are just going to continue this mutualistic relationship. If you get in the habit of only thinking about how much money someone else is making, not if it's a good deal for you, then you just really go down this fucking dark road. And it happens constantly. And I'm saying this because I've thought that way before, but there is zero benefit in doing that. Zero benefit at all. There's only downsides. If a $4,000 or $10,000 or $40,000 per month contract for you works, it doesn't matter if the other person is making $400,000 or $4 million, because that is the best opportunity that you can get. If you did want to make a percentage advantage, then you are going to have to expect to go to your employer or to your contract when you're starting a business. Then the only way to get a big piece of the upside is by working for a less retainer. If you want to make a lot of money and you want to do it on a performance-based model, you cannot also have a high salary. No employer is going to do that. They're not going to say, I'm going to pay you $150,000 per year and I'm going to give you 20% of the upside. That is just super rare, and especially if you are quasi unexperienced. So if you want top dollar, you have to sacrifice income in the short term because you know what you're going to do is be more valuable. And that's how I now have a business that's making a lot of money, because none of the clients that I first had, I charged any money. It was 100% performance based. And so for a year, I made fuck all. But now, a few years after, and the performance is really good, I make way more than I otherwise would have when I first started if I was on a salary. But this is besides the point of getting screwed over and constantly getting screwed over. It fucking hurts for me to say because it happens to so many people. There was this one person I was taking on as a client for a $25,000 per month contract a while ago. This might have been a year and a half ago. I honestly forget because I always forget this stuff. I hired out a team. We started working just because we didn't sign the contract. He was basically like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Just fire your team. When I already paid them all up front, I already did everything. I already did all the work that he was just promising me that he would pay once we started. And then he basically blamed it because we didn't have a contract. I was like, dude, what a fucking douche move. What a fucking douche move. He fucked me over. And it happens to everybody all the time. And honestly, I can see why a lot of people become cynical if they just continuously get fucked over for doing the right thing. I am still young and dumb, so I don't care too much. I just always say, okay, I guess on to the next. But it does still suck.